Hi there, it's Brent here from firerecruitmentaustralia.com. In today's video, I'm going to give you a really deep insight into the personality profiling tests that you'll face throughout the fire recruitment process. We'll discuss why they're in there, why they're part of the recruitment process, and what it is you need to do in order to understand them so that you can go ahead and pass them and not just fail just because you lack an understanding of what they're looking at, why they're in there, and how you need to approach them. Really hope you enjoy the video and make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any updates. At the end of this video, you'll be able to define personality profiling tests and understand its purpose in the recruitment process, quell misconceptions about personality profiling test questions, and gain insight into techniques in answering and, most importantly, passing personality profiling tests. Part 1. Definition. What is the recruitment process? The recruitment process is a series of steps an organisation undergoes in order to select the best possible candidate for a job position. Elements of recruitment. Fire service recruitment is usually comprised of 4 core elements accompanied by a psych test or personality profiling type test. Number 1. Written application and aptitude test. This part of the process tests written communication skills, literacy, numeracy, and other reasoning abilities of a candidate. Importantly, it provides an overview of a candidate's skills and experiences and abilities. Number 2, job interview. This part of the process examines communication, interpersonal skills, and behaviour. Number 3, physical ability testing. Although this varies from service to service, the idea of the testing is to give the recruitment team an understanding of your base fundamental physical abilities so they can ensure you meet a benchmark required to complete the tasks that are a requirement of the role that you're applying for. Number 4, reference checking and medical. Checking references allows an organisation to directly speak with your current or previous employers to find out more about your skills, experience, and personal qualities. This process is usually carried out after a candidate has been selected and as a last check about the person. This is usually done at the same time as the medical examination to ensure you are medically fit to undertake the role and that the organisation isn't taking on any undue risk in this regard. Now on to personality profiling or psych tests. What is a personality profiling test? Personality profile tests add a whole new dimension to the recruitment process. It's not a new practice, but it has been getting a lot of traction in the more recent years of recruitment. The goal is to expose the less obvious characteristics about a person, and they reach a much deeper level in terms of information about a candidate. Results of the personality profiling tests, together with other equally important segments in recruitment, form a body of information that assists the selection panel to evaluate a person in a holistic way. Personality tests can provide significant insight that is just not possible through the other selection processes. Why is personality profiling testing important? 1. Personality tests can provide significant insight that is just not possible through the other selection processes. 2. Personality profiling tests are done because recruiting the wrong type of person can cost an organisation thousands of dollars in overhead costs. So the testing process is often seen as a great investment. Recruiters are not likely to share much about your planned personality test, and they'll often downplay the process. They will almost always fail to tell you the type of personality tests that you'll be subject to, and any information they do give you will be broad and vague so as to not influence your performance in the test. It is very common for candidates to ask recruiters if they should prepare for personality tests, and the answer to this is always no. This is not at all helpful to candidates. And yes, preparation can be useful. Sadly, finding the information to help you can be outrageously difficult, but the great news is we've included some specific strategies later in this document that will actually help you. Part 2. Dealing with misconceptions. You're not alone. Unless you're a psychologist or a recruitment expert, you probably don't know much about the personality testing process, but the good news is you're not alone, as most people don't know much about personality testing tools and methods. The wrong attitude does more harm even before you get started. Sometimes applicants are convinced that a personality test will provide an inaccurate view of their personality, but it's important to note that a bad attitude to the testing process can harm your chances of success. People who approach a test with distrust, skepticism, or resistance might just find that they failed before the test began. Do they really work? Skeptics often question the validity and reliability of personality tests, and they state that it's impossible to extract genuine information about a candidate's personality in this way. Other people think it's only psychologists that actually believe in personality tests. However, it's important to recognise that personality tests can be a highly sophisticated and effective tool to assist in the job selection process. The information obtained via a personality test must of course be evaluated in the context of all other information gathered as part of the recruitment process. For example, a CV, job application, and job interview performance. But personality testing can provide enormous insight into the potential candidates for a position. Personality tests are completely objective. One of the great weaknesses of an interview is that it requires a judgment by a selection panel. It's subjective and not scientific. While everyone likes to think that a selection panel can be impartial and unbiased, and indeed many of selection panel operates in this manner, there is still the possibility for bias to creep in, and this is a weakness of the interview process. Personality tests are much more objective, and this is great for test takers as it means the outcomes of the personality test are not influenced in any way by bias, opinions, or judgments. Personality tests are fair in the sense that they are scientific and results aren't influenced by anyone other than yourself. Results are most often analysed by a computer and can be completed online either within an organisational setting or remotely from a candidate's home. Personality testing is a selection process that is here to stay, and preparing for this integral part of the recruitment and selection process is likely to increase your chances of success. The truth is, personality tests are becoming more and more popular, but up until now, there has been very little advice, hints, or tips available on the internet to assist in preparing for this type of selection process. Part 3. How to pass the personality profiling test. Tip number 1 is do not overthink. It does seem like test administrators and psychologists keep the cards of personality testing very close to their chest, and this is with good reason, and that they want candidates to submit responses spontaneously without overthinking each question. There is an overarching assumption that the less the tester knows about the testing process, then the more likely they are to submit honest answers, which would therefore provide more accurate and greater insights into their personality. The main issue with this perceived secrecy behind personality testing is that it creates more stress, anxiety, and tension towards both the tests and the people administering them. Tip number 2 is do your research and verify your resources. When people don't know things, rumours circulate. And the next thing you know, you have advice coming from all directions about how to pass your personality test that unfortunately is ill-informed and can impact on your test-taking performance quite radically. Know when advice is bad advice. Recruiters love to roll out this classic quote to candidates preparing for a personality test. Just be yourself. No preparation is required. This is quite possibly the worst piece of advice you could ever receive. Are you likely to be yourself during a job interview? That is, wearing your everyday clothes, maybe responding with only yes or no answers, or in contrast, drifting off into unrelated tangents, taking the leg off a chair about things that aren't relevant to the position? Well, no, of course you're not. Tip number 3 is do not panic. There is always a pattern. Quite simply, personality tests rarely change over time. Unlike aptitude and intelligence testing methods, some personality tests have remained largely the same since early last century because introducing changes to the process are both costly and time-consuming, and changing content within personality tests can dramatically diminish accuracy. As professionals, we all make an extra special effort for job interviews, perhaps wearing a suit or at the very least professional-looking clothing. We anticipate possible questions and prepare our answers so we appear knowledgeable, coherent, and highly skilled for the job we are applying for. Similarly, in a personality test, you need to emphasize your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. Being yourself and answering in a completely spontaneous fashion isn't likely to result in the best possible outcome. Know and understand the criteria the recruiters are looking for based on the job description and on the company's profile, and always choose answers that you believe best represent these values. Whilst people naturally have certain aspects embedded within their personalities, it is entirely possible to adjust these behaviours to suit the environment. Here's an example case study to give you an idea of how these tests are used in recruitment. Recently, I interviewed a candidate for a management position within a large telecommunications company. The position was a relatively low-level management position, but nonetheless, leadership and an ability to make decisions was an important part of the role. The candidate performed very well at the interview, and I was almost convinced that this was the right person for the role. However, the candidate's personality test results provided insight that could not have been gained through the application and interview process. The test revealed that he was lacking in confidence to lead a team and needed constant reassurance that he was on the right track. Now, this wouldn't have been an issue necessarily if the position wasn't a management role, but ultimately he didn't get the job because we were looking for someone to hit the ground running and lead and manage a team effectively from day one. Feeling nervous or anxious about a personality test is completely normal, and like pre-interview stress, it is an entirely natural response to what is quite simply an uncomfortable situation. You're being asked to complete a test about something that hasn't at all been explained to you. You have no background, and it's very unfamiliar territory. The fact that one of the only things that you do know about personality testing is that its purpose is to reveal things about your personality that are not overtly obvious. This is another reason to feel intimidated, but don't let stress negatively impact upon your test taking. Stress and anxiety influences your behaviour in 4 main ways, so be aware of this and keep those stress levels down. I really hope you've found this article helpful and informative. If you would like a deeper insight into the tests your fire service is using as their firefighter psych test or personality profiling, be sure to check out the in-depth training inside my membership area under the personality profile and module. This training has literally made the difference between people getting a job or not. Here are just some of the tests you may come across during the recruitment process and what we specialise in helping with. Emotional intelligence testing, work safety tests, talent screener testing, work styles, personality profiling, Keirsey temperament sorter, personality factors, NEO personality inventory, and OPQ testing. There are a number of tests used throughout the services, but it's all about understanding the test you are facing on a broad scale, as well as understanding the role that you were looking to fill so that if you have not been successful, you know exactly what you need to do in order to help gain an understanding of the test and get your real positive personality across to the recruitment team.